Hello and welcome to Coming Home with Mama T. I'm your host, Tiara, aka Mama T. And on this podcast, we explore the journey of creating the life of our desires through mastering manifestation, maintaining a positive mindset, and living luxuriously. And a part of that luxury is play. Right? We get to explore what it is that really lights us up, what makes us excited, what feels good for us, and helps us remember who we are. Yes, it gives us the time and the space and the ability to really stretch ourselves. And so today we're going to do something a little bit different, which I think is super fun. I used to do it a lot in the past. So if you've been following me for a couple of years here, then you might recognize how some of the workings. So basically, back in the day, I used to go live every single day on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, whatever. I was going live every single day. And a lot of times I would start downloading those live videos and putting them on my podcast. At that time, I was very heavily into selling wine, and you might know me as the wine diva. And it was a fun time. So I want to try something similar to that. So today's episode, we're going to be doing a tarot reading inspired by a series of books that I'm reading called Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh. And really just exploring why, like, getting some feedback through the tarot on um, living a life with a system of love. So we're gonna dive deeper into that once I hit this live button here. But for those of you who might not be familiar with tarot or have some thoughts about it, I want to share like my perspective on the cards and where I come from in reading tarot. So today we're going to be working with the Light Seers Tarot deck. It's my go-to deck. I love it. I have multiple decks, but this is the one that like lives on my desk, and it's just the one that I feel most connected to. So if you're like learning tarot, yes, all decks come with like a book in there. Some of the more modern decks, especially if they're like pocket book or whatever decks, they might come with like a QR code to send you to like the website so you can look it up online or through your phone or whatever, and you don't have to like carry a book around. So each book has like a description of what the cards mean. They'll often have a little blurb on like how you can like create your own spread, all of that good stuff. So it's really fun and awesome sauce stuff. So you can do everything by the book if you want to, right? So like for example, you could this one says a daily message of light. So light of day draw, you pick one card, and what message of light do you have for me today is kind of like the intention. So it even says like this is the intention, this is what you're asking God, source, the universe, spirit guides, whatever, however you like to view all of that. You're asking the energy, what is your energy like? Where are you at? And then you would shuffle the deck however you feel fit. I have like a rhythm that I go with. And then if a card actually just drops out, then I feel like it depends on how many cards. If it's like one, maybe two cards that just like pop out, then I'm going to read those. If it's a whole bunch of cards, then I'm like, okay, that's just me being chaotic. And I need to go with that. So then like here we have the Hierophant, and the Hierophant to me is like, this is like a leader. This is someone who is knowledge driven. If you are like might see them as like a priest or a minister, someone who is very spiritually connected and a leader in the spiritual world. So that's like my understanding of it personally. However, we have the book, which the Hierophant is number 3. So there's numbers associated with like every card. And so it is the number, I said number three, number five. I was open to page three, sorry. So here we have like the author's breakdown of what the card means. And so there's usually an overall arcing understanding of what each card means and from like the traditional tarot, which is the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck. A lot of people kind of base their cards off of that. You might find decks that have only the major arcana cards, and or some decks will have all, I think it's, I don't remember how many numbers. I think it's like 52. No, that's in certain 78. I don't know. Anyways, numbers, the amount of them, I don't really know off the top of my head. But that being said, I believe there's 22 major arcana cards. So there are some decks that might have just the major arcana cards. There are some decks that have all of the cards in there. It is 78. I was right. There it is on the back here. There's the 78 cards in a traditional tarot deck, and they've just recreated the art style and shifted it and maybe changed up some of the verbiage on how the cards resonate for whoever the author is. And so you can use this, and this is the author's interpretation of what the cards mean. I go back and forth. I like to read more intuitively. I have like an understanding of what traditionally all the cards mean. And then within that reading, I will kind of pick and choose. Like, you know, sometimes I might feel like maybe I should open the book and like refresh what it is and get like something that's like from this person's perspective. And other times I look at the card and I'm like, okay, this might be the Hierophant, but I'm not really, it's not about the Hierophant, but the flowers, like the artwork, right? In the back. So like you see there's like this beautiful flower. There's also like a stairway on here. And so maybe I get inspired by seeing the stairway and it's like, okay, well, actually, you need to like climb your corporate ladder, right? Like it's an interesting way of like, I like to go in between what the traditional is saying and what like I'm seeing visually, what I feel called to. And then sometimes it's just like a trigger of the image is just triggers something in my mind and I just rattle off a bunch of words. So that's kind of how I go about how I read. So with this Hierophant, it says tradition, a lesson, spiritual leader or guide, enlightenment, awakening, in service of spirit, formal education or training, new paradigms. Then I typically don't read in reverse, but there is like a reverse side, the shadow side. The uncomfortable side of the card could be outdated systems or ways of thinking, dogma, rebelling against societal norms, abuse of power, stagnation, ego-based leadership, a need to connect with spirit. And then I like that this book comes with like a little mantra or affirmation you can say when the card comes up. So it's like, I am my own guru, and the guidance I need is rooted in my faith, my belief, and my unique essence, which I think this is like a perfect card to pull when I'm doing doing a live about reading or pulling cards and sharing more about how I read here on the podcast. So I think this is like so perfect to have that be my light message for the day is I am my own guru, and the guidance I need is rooted in my faith, my belief, and my unique essence. All right, so it is now 11:11 a.m. We are going to hit this live button here, and we're going to go live over on Facebook. If you're not following me on Facebook, I am Tiara Jená on Facebook, accent over the A, Jena with an accent. So be sure to friend me over there. We can have some fun. All righty. All right. So we're gonna have some fun here. We're hitting the go live button. And I'm gonna also double check that it shows up here. So now you're getting like the background inner workings of being a business owner online. So if this is something that you have questions about, definitely hit me up. I believe I am live. Let me see. I haven't done this in a long time. I'm seeing myself live. I love it. Hello, hello. Alrighty. Welcome. Hi, welcome for those who are watching me live over on Facebook. Hi, I've actually incorporating this into a podcast episode. So if you want to listen to my podcast, it's called Coming Home with Mama T, where we talk about mastering manifestation, maintaining a positive mindset, and living luxuriously. It is 11, well, it's 11:12 now, but we started at 11:11 on a Tarot Tuesday. So of course, we're going to be doing a live tarot reading for you. So if you would like a message, you can go ahead and drop in the comments message or yes or whatever it is that you want to do. Card is also a great one to drop to let me know that I have permission to pull a card for you. But as we normally start these off with a community reading, I first wanted to share that I was inspired to do this through reading the book that I'm currently reading is called Conversations with God, and it is by Neil Donald Walsh. And as I'm reading this book, and like a lot of the theme that keeps coming up is really working from a place of love. So I want to give messages that are really helping to support us and being and operating from a place of love today, right? There's this idea that in the books that present duality is we either act from love or we act from fear. And personally, I would like to act from love. Love is so expansive, it's fun, it's free, it is vibrant, and I really believe that is the experience that we are all meant to have here in this world, is really to be in a state of love rather than a state of fear. I truly believe that we're not supposed to be here and be afraid and struggle and any of that. Like, not that they're supposed to do anything. You can do whatever you want. We have choice. We have the ability to take radical self-responsibility for our experience and choosing who we are moment to moment in an experience. Even if we don't like the experience, we get to choose who we are in that dis-ease and uncomfortable discomfort and uncomfortable moments. Yes. So if you're new to me, Tiara, aka Mama T, I love working with people who value living an extraordinary life, understanding manifestation, understanding their mindset, being self-aware, taking radical responsibility for creating the life of their desires, of our desires. We get to co-create with each other and the world and the energy around us and choose who we are in our life experience. So with all of that in mind, let's get to reading the cards. I will be pulling from the Light Seers Tarot deck today. So let's get to it. All right. I love it. So, what do we need in order to really operate from a place of love, being consistent and all of that? All right, first we have the Knight of Wands. And here in this Knight of Wands, it is really one, we have to celebrate life, right? I feel like so often we get caught up in conversations that's like, work is so hard and this is that and da 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 da. And we are so good at conversing and talking about the struggle and the strife and making it like a consistent part of our life. We as humans are so good at putting ourselves in a space that is talking about discomfort. And then we also can be really good about like competing in levels of discomfort. Like, oh, well, you know what, you think your boss is awful, well, my boss does this that and the other, and they curse me out and they treat me like this. Like, you think your life is hard, look at how hard my life is. But what if we made an energy switch? What if we catch ourselves in those moments? Because no, I understand that like it's all practiced, right? It's all learned behavior. And sometimes we have to unlearn the behavior. And in that unlearning, we have to practice doing something different. So what if we did the different thing is celebrating what's going on in our life? Yeah, okay, maybe your boss is treating you like shit, But you also got a promotion. Let's talk about the promotion, right? Let's put our focus, and it's not saying we have to bypass or anything that's not going the way that we want it in our life. It's okay to acknowledge that, okay, this feels uncomfortable, but who am I in this uncomfort, right? Who am I in this moment? And how can I find and learn and grow from this experience that I don't like to doing something that I value, doing something that feels good, being the version of myself that is the greatest and highest version of myself? And how can I celebrate that? Right? I experienced something that was tough, but this is what I learned from it, and I'm going to celebrate what I learned from it. Yeah, that's where we celebrate. That's where we make the moves, where we choose to be a person that takes radical self-responsibility for our experience. Just because something goes wrong in our life does not mean that we have to allow it to be a victim of it, if you will. And wrong is also relative, right? We get to choose. Is it right? Is it wrong? Is it uncomfortable? Is it just something that we don't want to reiterate in our life ever again? Yeah. We don't even have to give it a wrong or right or good or bad. We don't have to judge it. It's just like, I don't value that. I don't value that, and that's okay, right? Somebody else might value that experience, but I don't need to value that experience. So let me celebrate the experiences that I value. So one, I know what I value, and I can continue to bring more of that forward in my life. To the other people around me also know what I value, and they can bring or help support in bringing that into our lives. And so it makes it that much more sweet. And as we understand and have that mastery around being consistent with what it is that we value, being consistent with what it is that brings us the most joy, we get to watch more of it flourish. Like this King of Pentacles card is just like, I love it. It's like I've put in all the work. I know who I am. I am like it's, to me, I feel like this is like a grandpa who has like laid down the legacy for what it is that he wanted to create for himself and his family and his life. And now he's just like watching the fruits of his labor. Like, off to the side here on the other side of the card, I feel like there is just like a yard, and he's like just happily watching his like grandkids play. Like even the wolf has like puppies running around with the kids, and he's just like enjoying the splendor. Yes. Like he figured out what it is that makes him tick. He figured out what it is that he loves and did more and more and more of it. And once we have that true understanding, we also have the ability to share that knowledge, share that light with the world, right? We first work on ourselves. We work on ourselves and who we are and what makes us tick, and how to bring more joy, how to operate from a place of love. And once we come to that like true understanding of the love in our life, and how to be our loving selves through every single moment, whether it is quote unquote good or bad, struggle or celebration, famine or feast, whether it's any of those things, we know how to operate from a place that is loving rather than a place that is fearful. And because we have that knowledge, we are now a master of it. We get to be the Hierophant, the leader, the spiritual guide. We get to be our own personal guide, but we can also share our knowledge with others to help them understand how they get to be their own personal guide. And it just becomes a ripple effect, which is the work that I love to do, is create this ripple effect across the globe of like, I take radical responsibility for my life. I share how I do it. You get to learn more about taking radical responsibility for your life, and then you share what you're doing. We all start operating from a place of love and joy and peace, and letting go and watching how we can continue to celebrate great things happening in our lives, not just like weddings and graduations, but also like things that like my garden, like things that can seem mundane, we can celebrate that as well. Like what can you celebrate every single day, celebrating making a new recipe, celebrating just having being able to hang out with family. Like over the weekend, we had friends over, and one person was like, "Is this somebody's like birthday or like whatever? You just have people." I was like, I we are celebrating life. This is literally what we're here for. We're having drinks and food with friends. It's one of the things that we love. It's one of the things that we value. So, hey, come on over or whatever. And they're like, "Oh, this is awesome. I'm going to do more of this." And I was like, "This is what I love to do." Right? And so it's not that anyone's birthday had to happen. It's just life. How can you celebrate your life every single day and share it and understand it and be a leader within it, right? Life happening for you rather than to you. And as we understand and master all of that and we share that with the world, it creates this ripple effect. I really believe that the more that we work on ourselves, the more that we come from a place of love rather than fear, the more that we find our own peace and cultivate more peace and joy in our life, the more it ripples out and becomes an effect for the world around us and our communities around us. And it keeps going out and out and out. And eventually we'll get to a place where there's not all this fighting and war and people are willing to share their food. There is an abundance of everything that we need in this world. And if we were willing and happy enough to share it, it could make this world such an amazing, wonderful place. For example, and it's like it gets me teared up, right? Like I was out with some friends and we were just like standing at like a churro spot, which was so good. I can't remember the name of the churro place, but it was amazing. Hello, Elizabeth. If you would like a card, go ahead and say it in the comments. It was so amazing. Like the food was great, but we were standing out in the back. There was like this cute little backyard, and we're just hanging out. We're taking videos of our food. Camera eats first, you know. And this gentleman comes out, and he is like, you know, he goes up to us and he's like, "Hey, you know what? I talked to the owners. They said it was okay. I just want to share my story with you right now. Like, I lost my job, and me and my family, like, we lost our home. We're living in a hotel right now, and I don't have enough money to pay for tonight's stay in the hotel. Can you help me out?" And he's like, I'll let you guys figure it out. Like, no pressure, no nothing. And then he walked away and talked to somebody else. And he came back and he was like, "If you guys have the space to give, like, I would really appreciate it." And I was just like, okay, cool. Like, knowing full well, like I was just like, I feel the need to, and like, this was like, it's a very humbling experience, right? So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give my money that I have, like, I'm gonna share what I have, knowing that like, I too am going through a space where I feel like I'm struggling, if you will. I am not comfortable with what's in my bank account, basically. And so I was just like, but you know what? I'm at least here and I'm experiencing something. I'm fully clothed. I have a roof over my head. There is enough. And I know that money will show up for me again. It'll be okay. And so I like handed it over, and he, like, tears in his eyes. It was such an amazing moment, right? And to me, what if we all could do something like that for the world? What if we all could just share a little bit more of ourselves, of our resources, of our goods, and know and trust in ourselves that we can continue to go forward and be okay, be good, be better than that, be happy, be joyous, be at peace. That is my goal for the world. That is the medicine, the mentorship, the healing that I look to bring. It is just so powerful. So I want you to think on that. And with that, I'm going to pull out a card for Miss Elizabeth. How are you doing today, my love? Oh, I'm going to take a sip of water and settle in, because that was just such good energy. Yes. Ooh, 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 ooh. Ha ha ha. We have the Three of Pentacles for you, Elizabeth. It is an invitation for collaboration. I love that. That is what this card is all about. It's teamwork. And I feel like going off of the collective message that I did earlier and working from a place of love, when we really connect in with each other and we find and we share our truths, right? Like an invitation for you to really open up and be trusting of the people around you to accept you as you authentically are, who you truly are, understanding who you truly are, and sharing that. And the more you can share that, the more we can all work together to create an even better world and society and have that continued ripple effect. So I feel like this is definitely a continuation of the collective message. And so not just for you, Elizabeth, but for whoever is listening, watching at whatever time, it's the perfect time to really lean into that trust of one another and that acceptance of one another, regardless of what their background is, regardless of, what kind of work they do. We are all connected. Whether you believe in oneness or not, like we are all connected here at the same time in this world, creating together life's experience. So let's truly consciously create together. Yes, I'm glad you love this message. If there's anyone else on who would like a card, go ahead and say card in the comments. If you are just joining, I invite you to catch the earlier version, as well as those of you who are only watching live, not only, but like who are watching live here on Facebook, thank you for watching. But there is a longer version that will be going on my podcast, Coming Home with Mama T. So I invite you to subscribe to that and catch this episode when it comes up for a more in-depth conversation around tarot and all of that goodness. Alrighty. Well, I'm not seeing another request for a card. So with that, I'm going to just say thank you so much for watching. Remember, liking, sharing, subscribing, all of that goodness. It would mean the world to me, especially if you know the person could utilize these messages. If you would like your own private session, you can go to my website, www.mamatenergy.com, and book your own one-on-one tarot session. I also have energy healings available, clearings for your space, and you don't have to have me in person to do the clearing. You can just set up your device wherever you would like to me to run some energy work there, and we can do a clearing. But if you are in the LA area and you would like me to show up in person, we can talk about the price point for that, since that'll shift the pricing a little bit. But yeah, we can talk about that. And then of course there is the Activate Your Inner Shift meditation series. All you have to do is sign up on the website. You just scroll a little bit and see the Activate Your Inner Shift and just enter your name and your email address, and you'll have access to 4 amazing videos to help you like define and align what it is that you are looking to experience in your life, and make sure you're doing that mindset work to back up the belief structure to create that life desire. So with that, I'm going to say ta-ta for now, and thank you so much. I love you big.